Welcome back to another Thursday on the Pagan Perspective. I'm your Thursday host, Yeka, and this week we've been talking about getting along, feeling welcome with other in pagan groups and with other pagans. So our question or topic comes from Kaeleigh Ray, and it's a rather involved topic, so I'll just post it in the description box below if you want to read the full details of it. But basically, she's talking about how she was kicked out or left a coven because there were conflicts in that, and one of the major conflicts being that she was a single woman where these other women were mothers, and it seemed like their issues were always being considered more important than hers, and so that there were some conflicts there, and she's now feeling kind of uncomfortable about joining other groups because of this experience that she's had, and she's asking, have we had similar experiences with that? So I have not really been a part of any long-term groups, so I can't really speak to that. I mean, I have had some experiences with groups that I didn't click very well with, and ones that I did, but those haven't been really ongoing ones, so I haven't had that. I can really relate to some of what's being said about groups of mothers, and making very, very broad generalizations. Mothers can be a very difficult group to work with sometimes, and I think that it's very easy when one enters that role to not be very conscious about the experiences that other people are having, and I think some of that comes with that in our culture we expect so much selflessness from mothers that there can often be quite a bit of selfishness. Mothers are, again, these are huge generalizations, but can often be really, they can be very used to having to schedule everything and not always super sensitive to other styles of lives. So I think that, what was being said in this topic, I can relate to quite a bit, having experienced that before becoming a mother. And then it's something that I can also experience as a mother now, who's a little bit, a parent now who's a little bit different than sort of the stereotypical parent setup, just because the way that my partner and I kind of share the parenting, I'm certainly more in what would be traditionally viewed as like the father role, than more of the mother, and my partner's more in that, we share it in a different way, and so we haven't always felt super welcome in some of the other parenting communities, so I can relate to that a little bit. But I want to expand this topic to not just the specifics of this situation, because not everybody's going to be able to relate to that, because there's so many different kinds of experiences. Excuse me, I think I've got something here in my eye. So if I was to join a group or be part of a group, and I wanted to step back. I actually said that I hadn't been part of a pagan group for a long time, but thinking about it, I'm like, well, actually I have. Like, the Pagan Perspective is my, the other host is my group. But if I was having trouble with a group, I think that what I would take a look at is, what is the function of the group? What is it doing for me? What am I doing for it? What is the purpose? And my general take on that is, I want to be that, if I was part of a group, it would be, I'd be looking for support and nourishment and all of that, And if the group wasn't fulfilling that, right? If I didn't feel comfortable, if I didn't feel safe, if I didn't think that I was contributing, because contributing for me is a very important thing, and I think for a lot of other folks it is as well. If those needs weren't being met, then why would I still be in the group? Now it gets trickier when it's not like a really clear yes or no. In some cases yes, in some cases no. But I'm a real big fan actually of the pro and cons lists. Actually sitting down and giving it some deep thought, and I like making notes and taking things like that. And some other people might want to do maybe some meditative, some rituals, some scrying, that sort of thing to see if it's really working for them or not. And if it's not working, if it's not serving you, then it's really worth examining if it's something that you want to continue to put your energy into. Now the last bit of this was talking about, feeling nervous to join other groups, and I can really understand how one experience can significantly color your experience in the future and make you worried and that sort of thing. And it can be tricky because every group is going to be different. But I think that sometimes we get stuck in patterns and get attracted to the same sorts of people. So I think it's important to be really conscious of one's own behavior and expectations going into a group. Because if you're expecting the group to respond to you in a certain way, then your behavior might facilitate that response even if you didn't intend for that to happen. So I think that if one is to join another group, it can be really helpful to try and be very conscious and reflective of the way one is behaving. And if you feel safe and comfortable with these people, and I know that sometimes when you're first getting to know people it can be challenging, but to be open about that with them and let them know that's where you're coming from. Again, every group is going to be different. So that's my far more than 2 cents, mini cents on this topic. I think it's a really interesting one, and it's something that even if the specifics not everybody's gone through, there's a lot of in here that I think is very common experience in terms of fitting in and being validated, not validated, and all of that. So I'd love to hear in the comments if any of you viewers have experienced things like this before, and if you have, what has been your approach? How have you decided when you want to stay in a group, when you want to leave it, and if you've decided to stay in it, how have you handled that? So I'd love to hear that in the comments section. Next week, I believe, is Subs Week. So I will see you all again in February. Until then, take care.